Hi everyone, I hope you've been well. If you're new here, my name is Russell. I'm an American living in the UK, and I'm really sorry for not posting a video last week. I visited Cornwall for the first time. It was awesome, by the way, and the video for it is taking quite a long time. Also, maybe as you can see back here, there are some suspiciously square-shaped objects back there that may indicate Lottie and I are moving. It's a much needed change that the both of us have been looking forward to for months now, so exciting times. But that does mean I've been rather busy as of late. So I thought I would upload something in the meantime that's been on my mind for a while. Words and speaking, a topic that has been covered to death by expats and visitors to the UK alike, but not by me yet. Words are just one of those things where you're always learning new ones, no matter how long you've lived in a different country. Living in the UK is a bit unique though, because the US and the UK have a lot of the same things, so to speak, but vastly different words that we use for them. I think it's actually more difficult than learning the word for something in a different language. I'd honestly rather be doing that, because then at least I wouldn't have the urge to call it the wrong thing. I would just have no alternative but that language. But it's not so easy between the Americans and the British because we both share a language. Kind of. Here are British words that I now use every day. Let's get into it. Disclaimer, this is by no way a comprehensive list of every British word that I say now, just ones that I came up with when I was writing the script. Rubbish instead of trash. Rubbish was one of the first words I switched to the British version because I thought that I sounded more British. The word trash just isn't really used here, so I'll stop saying it. Exclamatory phrases like, "That's a load of rubbish." If I said that back home in America, I would probably be laughed at. Saying rubbish bin instead of trash can, or really just bin instead of can, is a lot nicer. When you bin something, that means you throw it away. So the noun becomes a verb, which is awesome. You can't do that with trash can, because if you can something, it sounds like you're putting it inside of like a tin can. Can means something already, like a soda can or a soup can. Saying trash can with the British might develop this image of trash inside of a nice little tin can, and that's kind of gross. Saying tap instead of faucet, that one happened pretty quickly actually. I think that's because if there's a shortened, easier to say version of a word, I just sort of naturally gravitate towards it. I don't know what that says about me. Maybe I'm just lazy. Saying quid instead of buck. This one's more like slang, but it's still a word. I'm not really sure the origin of the word quid. I'm sure I probably could have just Googled it before writing the script for this video and learned that it's actually older than America and it's super cool and awesome, but I didn't. What I did do though is reflect on the fact that quid is something that comes pretty naturally to me now. I actually struggled with it for a while. I thought that it just sounded like too weird. Like, can I borrow a few quid? Or it only cost me a couple quid. I think this one was hard to transition to because it's just so different from buck, like saying a few bucks or a couple bucks. But we're good now. Me and quid, we're buds now. We're friends now. Not many of you know that I actually used to work in pharmacy. I did that for 10 years. So I was very fascinated to learn that a common pain reliever is called paracetamol here, whereas in the States we call that acetaminophen. Both kind of a jumble of letters and sounds, but they're both the same thing. But what's even more interesting is that acetaminophen / paracetamol is something that Americans often refer to by the common brand name, which is Tylenol. So we would say, could you get me a Tylenol? Or I'm gonna take a few Tylenol. Right here, paracetamol. I say autumn now instead of fall. Now, the thing with this one is that autumn also exists in America. I just think that people call it fall way more often, at least where I'm from in the Midwest United States. But you call the season of autumn fall here, you're gonna get weird looks. I've always enjoyed this topic being discussed by British people because it's almost always used as an excuse to attack Americans for being dumb, with the reasoning, they call it fall because the leaves fall from the tree and they're dumb and they just call things what they see right in front of their eyes. No appreciation for the true, rich cultural history, etymology of words. We invented the language, rah! Anyway, holiday, I say now, instead of vacation. Now, this one's giving me some trouble because I don't feel like the British really use the word vacation for like anything. So now what am I going to use it for? Well, also holiday refers to, like, you know, yearly festive celebrations. Times when I've used phrases like the holiday season or when something gives holiday vibes. I've been met with holiday vibes. What are holiday vibes? Like, where are you going on holiday? There's car park instead of parking lot. I still kind of prefer parking lot. It's a lot where you park your car. When someone says to me a car park, I imagine it's like a park for cars. I'm nitpicking at this point, but I have started to say car park just to fit in. Okay, this next one I'm actually still working on. Maybe you guys can help me with it in the comments. Hundreds and thousands. Now, on the surface, an American might call these sprinkles, but apparently here, sprinkles are a certain type of sprinkle. What I've been told is that hundreds and thousands are those tiny little ball sprinkles, and that sprinkles are the little rod-shaped sprinkles. I've also been told that I have it the wrong way around. So I still just call everything sprinkles, but maybe I can get some clarification from you guys on which one's hundreds and thousands and which one's sprinkles. Like I said, there's a million different words that I now use the British version of. Those are just a few, but let's move into some more fun, like, slang terms that I now use. Saying mate instead of friend. I say mate to, like, total strangers or, like, when referring to someone's friends, but I actually don't use it that much. I might use it after being handed a pint or being checked out at a till or a door held open for me. Like, just a quick, like, cheers, mate. Growing up in America, the only time the word mate was used was in biology class when learning about copulation. The fact that the Brits call their friends mates was pretty funny to young Russ. Saying cheers, but as a quick thank you. So everyone knows, you know, you'll say cheers instead of actually saying the word thank you. They're interchangeable, so you could really say both. There's no wrong answer here, but I've gotten a bit more nuanced than that. I will only say cheers when it's a thank you that is just really in passing for something small or something expected to be done. Now, if it's a more meaningful thing that was said to me or done for me, like something that took like a significant amount of effort or that shows that I was really thought of, I will say thank you. Like if someone made me like a really sentimental handcrafted gift and presented it to me in a really sweet way, I wouldn't say cheers, you know? I would say thank you. Like that really means a lot to me. Whereas if my fly's down and someone says, hey mate, your fly's down, it'll just be a cheers for me. I say gob instead of mouth. This was just fun. The word gob is just so funny to me. Shut your gob. Stick it in your gob. It'll always be an ironic use for me, like just for the laugh. I say bog roll instead of toilet paper. I heard someone use the phrase bog roll once and it made me cry laughing. Also, my girlfriend thinks it's pretty gross, so I say it to get a rise out of her sometimes. When referring to money, a 5-pound note, I will call a fiver, and a 10-pound note, I will call a tenner. I'll also do this when saying the price of something. Like if something is only 5 pounds, I'll say it's only a fiver or it's only a tenner. That one makes me feel cool and hip. When something is just nasty, I love calling it minging, or more properly, minging. Also rank, when something's just rank. I sort of use those words when referring to something that like looks like gross or smells gross. When talking about being tired, I love saying knackered. Like, oh my lord, I am just knackered after today. I just like the power behind the word. Like it really accentuates exhaustion, you know, without saying you're exhausted. Tired is just like, everyone's a little tired. But when you're knackered, ugh. Pity on me, I am so tired. This one gets me looks though because I learned way too late into using the word that knackered actually refers to tiredness after certain passionate acts. So whenever I happen to remember that fact, I will replace knackered with shattered. I'm just absolutely shattered. Such an oomph to it. So good. The crazy thing about being an American living over here in the UK is that it's more than just words that are different. Sometimes the words are the exact same, but they are said so differently. It's almost as if you're both saying different words. Gotta start with the classic tuna, This one gets me. Oregano, oregano. In that same vein, we have herbs and herbs. Aluminium instead of aluminum. Now that's a fun one that never stirs people up. I've heard it's pretty British to have a chip buddy, but I've never actually gotten to have one because a British person will say a chip butty and get a sandwich. I will say a chip buddy and I will get somebody who is very fond of eating chips by my side asking for us to go get some chips together. I can't quite do my T's right just yet. But the list really goes on with this one. We got vitamin instead of vitamin, privacy instead of privacy, mobile instead of mobile. These ones are tough because saying a word differently than how you've always said it your entire life, it takes a lot of energy out of you. You're having to fight how you've always said it your entire life and then also say it correctly in the British way and not sound like a dolt at the same time. But at least the words are the same. It's just about learning how the British say these words so it sounds like you're talking about relatively the same thing. There's also plenty of words that I just can't say. Not because I don't know how to pronounce it or like physically say it, but no matter how hard I try, I just don't think I'm ever going to use these words enough to get comfortable using them often. An example I was reminded of recently is the word gagging. Over here, it refers to appearing very desperate or eager or in need of something, like I'm gagging for a cup of tea. Typically, it'll be used to refer to things of a more sexual nature. I just don't see myself getting comfortable casually using the word gagging in any situation. Another word is fancy, like when you fancy something or someone. Like I would just rather say I want that thing or I like that thing. I mean, fancy has a meaning as an adjective to me my whole life. I would never use the word fancy to refer to wanting something, but it just goes to show some words are just tough to adjust to. Arse is one that it just never sounds right when I say it, so I don't. I guess Americans put too much emphasis on the R, but I can't say the equivalent either, which is ass, because then I just sound like an American. The word bloody, probably never gonna make it into my vocabulary. You just sound too much like Ron Weasley. I never know when to use the word. And come to think of it, I think I've heard it used here like twice. Daft is another one that I just can't seem to say quite right, but I also never really finding myself needing to use. I hear it mostly used in the phrase, don't be daft, but my default phrase that's kind of similar would be, don't be silly or don't be ridiculous. Daft is nice and short and to the point, but it's foreign enough of a word to me to be just out of my dialectical reach. Now, something that I don't hear talked about nearly enough with this subject is dialect. Depending on where you are in England, the way a word is pronounced or the entire word that's being used to refer to something could be vastly different. And depending on where you are in the UK, the entire language might be different. And would you look at that? You're back to square one learning an entirely new language. But to me, this is all great. And it's been a challenge, but I love learning about the language here and the way words are said or things are referred to. It's fascinating. But another thing that I think a lot about is why. Like, why do this? Why care so much about making sure you're using the right word in a conversation or saying a word correctly in this country that you've moved to? Especially since I'm still technically speaking English. I could get away with saying mostly American versions of words here and generally people would understand what I mean. Plus, saying the local version of words here just feels unnatural to me. Almost like I'm mocking the language or something just by trying to use it. Why care about something that might be a very small part of your day? And the answer to this is pretty simple. It shows that you're trying. Sure, people are gonna know what you mean when you say trash can or parking lot, but to see and hear someone who's obviously not from your country try to adjust and change and integrate into your culture, I'd argue that that's more valuable than learning the correct words to say. Because as I've come to learn, British folks are masters of tone. They are very tuned into your tone and how you come off. They'll know when you're putting in effort to genuinely acclimatize to the language, but they'll also know when you don't care. And as a result, they probably won't think very highly of you, and your integration overall will be much more difficult. It's just nice to see people trying, okay? Plus, it's fun for me to learn. Travel really does expand the mind. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you don't want to miss any of my future videos. I'll see you next week for another video. Bye-bye.